you can go ahead and begin.
Censorship is defined by the American Library Association as the removal, suppression, or restricted circulation of literary, artistic, or educational materials, of images, ideas, and information on the grounds that these ideas and information are morally or otherwise objectionable in light of standards applied by the censor. During 2008, 4,498 books were reported as being formally charged or banned. Even as recently as 2018, young adult novels such as 13 Reasons Why, or timeless classics such as To Kill a Mockingbird, have been banned in multiple school districts because they contain violence and racial slurs, or discuss topics like suicide. Preventing students from viewing or observing these materials should not be tolerated in our school systems any longer. Censorship of any kind is in violation of the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, which states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. By preventing students from expressing their views and opinions through their speech and conduct, schools are in direct violation of students' First Amendment rights. By detailing specific examples of literary censorship and administrative censorship, stating some fundamental errors with censorship itself, then presenting solutions to these issues, I hope to give you all a better understanding of the problem at hand and how to do your part in putting an end to it. Now, the first variety of censorship that I'll be discussing today is literary censorship, which is the most common found in schools today. Now, one of the several examples that I have of literary censorship today takes place in the Yellow Medicine School District, which is in Minnesota, and it involved the school banning the book Little House on the Prairie for being racially insensitive toward Native Americans. Now, I have, if you'll take a look at your handout, the bottom of the first and top of the second page, you'll see an example of a professor at Harvard, Dr. Noonan, who was discussing the issue of reading these books to his young daughter. And while reading them, he saw this word, papoose, which refers to a North American Indian baby or young child. However, nowadays, or I guess maybe at the time, the word itself was more of a slur, and he felt that it was inappropriate to read to his daughter. Now, another example of literary censorship, it takes place in 1984, which means that it's not really a new concept to people. From a small school during a middle school during the 1980s, to quote the article that was read, the school administration ordered the removal of the following books from library shelves of all elementary libraries. Now, all of these books are around, you know, the Junie B. Jones or Judy Blume kind of novel type. Now, these books were Honey of a Chimp, Blubber, Deanie, starring Sally J. Friedman as herself, Tiger Eyes, and It's Not the End of the World. Now, these books were mostly challenged for, you know, different issues, but Professor Melanie Koss, professor at Northern Illinois University, says that many books that are challenged, or most book challenges, related to offensive language, which are 38%, sexual content, 31%, unsuited to age groups, 27%, and racial issues, 23%, with additional challenges relating to homosexuality, anti-family messages, drugs, the occult, violence, and insensitivity. The three topics most frequently banned after being challenged were homosexuality, sexual content, and the belief that the content was not suitable for the age groups intended. Now, while literary censorship is the most overt and recognizable type of censorship, administrative censorship often goes unnoticed. Now, administrative censorship most commonly refers to the act of a school administration or otherwise administration of censoring different content for the people within the administration. Now, one example of this took place in a Colorado middle school. The administration saw it, or believed that it was unfit for a third grade student to do a science fair project on the difference between different skin colors and different dolls. Now, the thesis statement of the child was, does skin color make a difference? This was discussed by Dr. Petrus, who is a professor at University of Maine. He is a professor of psychology. Now, it was believed by the administration that the project itself may have been offensive to people of different race, and the school decided to stop that in its tracks. Now, there was no lawsuit from this, but it is still viewed as an unnecessary piece of censorship. Now, another example took place at a middle school in 2010, where 2 girls decided to wear bracelets that said this: "I heart boobies." Now, these bracelets are common, well, perhaps not common anymore, but they were for a while in support of the Keep a Breast Foundation, which supports breast cancer awareness. Now, I found this from the Harvard Law Review, which is, you know, a well-known establishment in the United States. And now that we have discussed 2 particularly oppressive forms of censorship in schools, we have been addressed, it's time to better understand censorship itself. Now, the idea of censorship is not new, and we've already discussed that, but now we have to have a better understanding of why people want to censor content. Now, to quote Dr. Petrus once again, school censors believe in most cases that censorship is the most expedient, safe, and familiar way to keep salacious, frightening, inciting, titillating, overwhelming, or seditious words or images out of reach of students that might likely prohibit, obfuscate, sidetrack, or contradict what is intended to be taught in the school. Such beliefs are not always grounded in fact, and some that are factually grounded do not justify censorship as a remedy. Now, it's very common for students who have been forbidden to look at certain content that they become much more interested in this content as a whole. And because of that, they do not have adults do not have the opportunity to contextualize this information and have a better understanding for the students themselves. Now, this can cause a lot of problems for the students because if they were approached up front with this information, they may have a better understanding and it may be healthier for them as a whole. Now, with this understanding in mind, we can now find more solutions to the issue at large. Now, the solutions that I believe are the most effective and will be the best for you are to just simply take action in this regard. And that would be to ask questions to your adults or your teachers, make petitions in your school, vote on different school issues, as well as speak up so that your voice can be heard and that you can have a better opportunity to know these different things. If censorship in the classroom is not put to an end, students may not be prepared to lead responsible and active lives in our democratic society because they have been deprived of the opportunity of free choice. Now, censorship can take many forms, all of which are in violation of our rights as citizens of the United States. Even if you don't live in this country, censorship is a far-reaching idea that can affect anyone. So through these examples of literary and administrative censorship, I hope that I have brought to light the serious issues that we as students in this country need to be aware of and just how exactly we can change them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause. Thank you, Eli. Okay, at this time we're going to go ahead. Oh, you're fine. Thank you. I apologize. I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor to any questions that students may have regarding this topic.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any necessary cases where censorship should be used?
Where censorship should be used?
Yeah.
Well, the First Amendment does not protect people, protect those who spread hate speech in any way. So if you were to, someone showed up with a KKK pamphlet, it's not like they're going to be like, no, that's bad, we shouldn't do that. Generally, any actively racial or racist type of speech is shut down, however, in the past, such as for a better understanding. So when I gave the example of Little House on the Prairie, uses like that, just to have a better understanding, I think are good ways to help kids understand the issues with those.
In the end, you said that even if you're not part of this country, it's still an issue. So have you ever heard of examples of censorship in other countries?
I think the entire country of North Korea is censored massively. I think they have absolutely no rights whatsoever. So that's obviously on a much larger scale. So if I were to have an example like the one that I have, that doesn't really apply, but that is an example. And
do you think censorship can ever be good?
kind of to go on what Faith said, or what Faith asked, hate speech generally isn't a nice topic. Now, it can't always be defended, you know, as you can't, I'm trying to grab the words here. There's not always a reason, if the speech itself isn't overtly hateful, I mean, it may have an undertone of that, but you can't really defend against that quite as easily. But, yeah. Any other questions? Sure.
So with the other type of censorship that is not literary, I forgot what it's called.
Administrative.
Yeah. So were there ever any cases where like teachers were, they like said something and then they were fired?
I'm sure there are situations of that. None of the research that I did really apply to that. The closest I can think of was the case in 1984 with the elementary library. The librarian herself was directly opposed to censoring the books in the library. However, the administration decided that they wanted to get rid of these books.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any others? Then let's give Eli one final round of applause. Yay, thank you very much.
If you guys speak that, don't ever.